Let's see if I can put all this information on there while I'm still on. Can you all see and hear me? For some reason, my whole camera everything decided to just pack up on me. Give us a shout if you can see and hear me. Hiya, Graham. Hope you had a good day. I did have a good day today, thank you. Good evening, everyone. All links for the Truth Freedom Festival, 17th to the 19th of July. Yeah, we're coming up to that. So tonight's show, hopefully you can all see, share, and I'm hoping this is still working all right. Sharing is caring. Hit the like button and subscribe. If you're watching from YouTube, come across to Rumble and give us a subscribe. We're trying to get over 10,000. There's a couple of things I want to say before I launch into this. We're obviously going to have a quick discussion on Henry Bolton, OBE, whatever he is. Just to make everyone aware, I don't get why Restore have gone for someone who was born in Kenya. Bearing in mind, Barack Obama was born in Kenya. He's British, not English. We've got someone who's literally British establishment. We've got someone who's, I think he's been married 3 times, but even the last 2 marriages were both foreigners. He's got children with a foreigner. He's certainly not going to be looking at restoring the English constitution to where it should be. Because if he did do that, quite simply, for some reason this has gone off. If he did do that, quite simply, his children couldn't be politicians or anything like that. But there's many things that I don't understand about why they would go anywhere near someone just like him. He's not got any form of principle or conviction towards a particular group of people, like politically. I find that odd. He was a member of the Liberal Democrats. He was a member of the Social Democratic Party, extreme lefties. He led UKIP for a little while. He then left his wife. This is his we're talking about someone who's talking about the police here, right? And talking about the morality of the police in some areas of what's been published today. And we're going to get on to the morality of the police in a couple of minutes. But we're talking about someone who left his wife and 2 kids for someone 30 years, I believe it was, nearly 30 years, his junior. Some 25-year-old bird, going back a few years now, so she's a little bit older. But my whole point is, he's got about as much morality as an alley cat, right? This fella's, and yet it's being presented to us as, I'm going to straighten out the police. He was in, we're going to get to a few other things in a minute, but he was in military intelligence. He was involved with Bosnia. He was in Helmand province. He was military intelligence. What does that tell you? Right? Military intelligence. He then joins the police force, right? Apart from the fact that he was born in Kenya, his family come from Kenya, right? He joins one of the most corrupt police forces in the country, bar none. Thames Valley, right? On par, Thames Valley Police as a whole unit was on par, as crooked as the flying squad in the Metropolitan Police, right? He had no regard whatsoever for the membership of UKIP when he decided to cause that massive scandal in UKIP. But not to put a finer point on it, he hasn't said, I'm going to give you an example now of the police. We'll sort of brush over what the British have done to us, meaning the English. In 1952, Lynmouth, when they cloud seeded and killed 35 of us, like that, kept it all hush-hush, right? Murdered 35 English people in Lynmouth in Devon, right? And then you got, since 1990, think about this, 1,965 people have died in police custody, right? So there's another element to this which I'm going to hopefully bring up and show you and share with you a little bit closer information on it, right? So let's see if I can pull that over. Right, so the breakdown of that is, in custody, 1,234 died in actual police custody since 1990. There's been shootings, 89. Pursuits, members of the public who have died because of police pursuits, 475. Road traffic incidents, 167, right? The overwhelming majority were white. 86-90% of the people killed in England. This is just in England and Wales. So this is English people and Welsh people dying in police custody and in police suits, etc. But the vast majority, only of that number, 1,965, only 197 were black or mixed race, right, or Asian, right? So the vast majority was white English that were killed, and some Welsh, right? Now, what I want you to understand then is there's been 180 deaths roughly since 1990. related to terrorism. In other words, terrorist atrocities. Bearing in mind we're all in lockdowns and there's all these different things going on. And there's more to this, but 7/7, right? 52 people died. Manchester Arena, 22 people died. London Bridge, 8 people died. Westminster, 5 people died. There's some smaller IRA ones in the 1990s, low dozens. And then it's got Islamist incidents post 2001 in Great Britain, 100 total, right? But basically, the whole figure in reality, just to let you all know, you're far more likely to be murdered in this country by the state, and particularly by the police in this country, if you're English or Welsh, right? So we're not talking about Northern Ireland, we're not talking about Scotland, we're talking about England and Wales, right? But you're far more likely to be killed by the police and killed in custody than you are a terrorist incident, right? Yeah, we've got all these police floating about, pretending they're protecting us from terrorists, armed police units, truncheons, gas, God knows what else, and we're not allowed anything, right? Well, it also turns out, on top of that, if you go back into the history of the disarming of us against our constitutional rights, it was police chiefs in a private committee with the government who said to the government that firearms in England and Wales in particular were a direct threat and caused an increase in crime. So therefore, that's why you should be regulating, banning and not allowing firearms for self-defense, right? And I've got the evidence of that, right? It came from a Freedom of Information request where they, in the end, reluctantly allowed the what was put across. So it was in effect chief constables of the police that, bearing in mind their oath is to the crown and they are crown servants, they actually disarmed the people, which went against the English Bill of Rights, in particular that Protestants shall be armed for their self-defense, right? So I want you to listen to me carefully, and especially everyone see what happened to Charlie Staples and what the police did to him during COVID. Now, Henry Bolton was very vocal during COVID, believing that people should be jabbed, right? He went as far as to say, if my memory serves me correctly, that he couldn't understand why people who have had 2 jabs wouldn't continue to have the boosters, and he seemed pretty miffed by that, right? That people were not having the jabs. So all I'm saying to people, and I am going to show you some elements to what he's just said today. Hopefully everyone can still hear me, right? So I just want to cap off what we're talking about, right? Now, this guy in this report was talking about, independent police investigations and putting the trust back into policing, blah, 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 blah. And I don't think I've ever seen so much bullshit in one document in my life, right? Coming from a complete and utter con man, in my opinion, right? Bearing in mind what he was in UKIP, bearing in mind Restore Britain seems to have brushed over the fact that he was married with 2 kids and dumped her for some young tart, right? Which is basically what happened. And now they're telling her this man with all these morals, right? That was part of military intelligence in Bosnia and in Helmand province, etc. You think he's going to come to the rescue in relation to the police, who since 1990 have killed 1,965 of us, English and Welsh, right? Not a word about that in their report. It's almost as if Restore Britain are completely and utterly ignoring the English and the plight of the English, and the fact that most of them people were white and most of them have been killed by the police in police custody, and not a single thing, right? So let's just bring up something else, shall we? And most people who watch this show know exactly what I'm talking about. About a 93-year-old man in a care home, in his own room, in a wheelchair, because he's got one leg, with dementia and diabetes, right? And in a confused state, he's waving around a butter knife. He's already contained in his own room. He's in his own room. And the police come along and they gas him. They use batons on him and they taser him, right? And they was going to sweep the whole thing under the carpet completely, right? And it was us and a few others that was chased out, went to the courts, and they hid the police names. They didn't put them on the boards. All sorts of things going on, shenanigans, right? And those police that we got on camera were so arrogant, right? And they ended up going before a jury in a Crown Court. I believe it was for common assault, and got a not guilty, right? When they should have gone up for torture, right? So I want to know where Restore Britain gets off with it. When I first saw it, I was just like, this can't be true. This must be, is this April Fool's? So they're presenting themselves as a serious anti-establishment party, and they put someone from military intelligence, British Army, that was born in Kenya, right, in charge of their policy for policing the English. Now, is it me? I mean, even the Gestapo would probably have been, prior to the Second World War, would have been proud of that record. 1,965 deaths in police custody. And nothing really has happened to any of them coppers. Do you all remember that? The only one that really got promoted was the ex-footballer, the black geezer, that had mental health issues that they took down outside one of his relatives' house. And a copper kicked him in the head. Kicked him in the head twice, I believe. And he died of his injuries. And the copper got 8 years. Right? Most of these deaths, nothing's happened to the old Bill at all. Nothing, right? And then Henry Bolton says in this thing that we believe in independent inquiries into police conduct. Really? But it says as long as it doesn't interfere with police operations. That's a smokescreen for we're going to carry on doing what we like, right? So for anyone thinking I'm just being leery because it's Restore Britain, listen, I want to be able to support them, right? But I am telling you now, that's the most disgusting. Have they packed the leadership of this with people with degrees? Middle-class twats that don't know anything that's going on. And now I'm going to tell you something else. And I'm not going to say too much about it, but I can tell you something else. I've told everyone how dangerous it is in London. I don't live in London anymore. right? But myself and Janet have been travelling all over Devon, looking at different areas, etc. And even Janet has said, "Hey, she's noticed in the last 2 months there's more and more black and Asian people here, right? She's noticed it. I've noticed a difference in a year, right? They've already conquered the cities and towns. They've already got control, in effect. This is the communist system, got control of the police, got control of the cities, got control of everything, right? But I want people to understand that London is so bad, and I've actually seen documentation on this, that there have been credible threats to the lives of Restore Britain organisers and members in London, that the police have actually told them don't hold any meetings in London, in certain areas of London, right? That's what the police have said. And some of them people are looking to leave London now because they stood up and started to say something. And then people like Henry Bolton and this so-called management team, right? This middle class load of twats in Restore Britain, how the fuck they think they're going to win anything? They're more interested in the British establishment. I would say that Henry Bolton himself is the number. He's worse than Farage, right? So you've got Restore Britain being told they can't campaign, they can't hold meetings inside London. And by the way, the group that I went to see in Devon, they're I'll just give up with them. I can't see that they're a serious group of people. Some other people, and I've been reading on Twitter, have gone to some of these meetings, and they're like just a lot of blokes having a beer and shouting at each other. What good's that? So, to top that, they go and take on an establishment, British military establishment figure that come back from Afghanistan and Bosnia and all them areas as military intelligence, and he joins the most corrupt police force in the country, and they're patting the geezer on the back, and they're showing him, they're putting out his CV, right? Look at this, is credentialism at its worst, right? Credentialism. You must have this. You must be this, right? Yet there's proper people, right, in London that have been told by the police there is a credible threat on your life because you'll Restore Britain, right? I've actually seen, if I bring it up, let's see if I can bring it up on the screen. I'll bring one thing up on the screen, right? But I don't want to be putting it I don't want to be putting it on anyone. I know how dangerous it is, right? But I'm telling you now, Restore Britain with playing fucking games like they're playing now, playing fucking politics and credentialism, right? You need some fucking reality in that party. And that's what you're rejecting. Reality, right? Rupert Lowe. I could be sipping wine on Monaco's beaches. Really? What happened yesterday or the day before? When the Ukrainians are blowing each other up. First time ever they've had a terrorist crack in Monaco. By the way, most of the people, the serious money in Monaco, by the way, are leaving, It's a gangster's paradise, and Rupert Lowe says, I could go there. I could go to Monaco. Good luck with that one, son. But to me, I'm seeing this happening, and it is a car crash in slow motion. Right, so I want to see if I can bring this up, but I have to do it in such a way that I don't show the person. Let me see if I can copy image, and I'll put the image somewhere else. Let me see if I can put it in here. Let's see if I can bring this up, this image. Right, so this is what's being put round, right? Keep the far right out of Newham. Oppose Restore Britain. At Tuesday, 7th of July, 10:30 a.m. at Dockside, Newham, Council Office, E16 2QU, right? Stand Up to Racism, National Education Union, Newham, all of these people are backed up, right? By the way, the English Constitution Party got no backing whatsoever, right? Stand Up to Racism, Care for Calais. You know them people that the website, you remember when I showed it? And they've taken it off now. We had the Jesuit logo on their website, right? Vote Palestine 2026. What's this one here? Newham Independence. Save Newham Libraries. Newham Poetry Group. United East. But look at it. Look at it. Right wing out. They've been posting these all around this particular area where these groups are, just to make sure you're all aware of this, right? And I know that Restore Britain are aware of this, right? The old bill have gone to see a number of individuals and said there's a credible threat on your life, right? These people they're threatened to shoot them, right? That's how bad London is. And yet you got pricks like Henry Bolton, right? Pricks like Henry Bolton coming out with the nonsense that he's come out with, right? Restore Britain are just like the fucking rest of them. All about credentialism. He's got a wonderful CV. Really. Right? They're anti-establishment. So they pull in someone that is couldn't be more establishment. Right? Absolute pile of shit. So let me just make sure everyone's aware. Right? That's currently going on now. So this so-called credible party out there literally can't operate in some areas of London. The police can't protect their members in London. And you've got this geezer writing, Henry Bolton writing absolute nonsense, right? We're going back to the peelers. And he seems to be putting all the blame on the Police Act of 2002. They're not even looking at what's gone on. I can show you when all this started happening, exactly when it started happening. But no, they won't listen to me. I haven't got the credentials. I wasn't in the military, sucking some major's cock. That's what these people are about. Go and look at the military records of these people. Go and look at how many paedophiles are in the fucking army, in the Navy, in the RAF. Go and have a look at the record. Go and do a search now and look at how many of them people are fucking paedophiles. Let alone the police that are actually joining in with the rapes. And you want us to take you seriously, Restore, right? How the fuck can anyone take Henry Bolton seriously? I'm being serious, people. I'm asking this audience, how can you take Restore Britain seriously? Who is running them? Who is running Restore Britain? You got a Ukrainian tweeting in the name of Rupert Lowe. You got Henry Bolton backing the war in Ukraine. You got Ukrainians throwing fucking British missiles into Russia. And Henry Bolton's backing it up. Henry Bolton is backing Israel. Whatever possessed these people to go anywhere near Henry Bolton? The only thing I can think of is Rupert Lowe has got such a dislike for Nigel Farage, and there was a clash between Bolton and Farage that he's just brought him on board. But this credentialism, that's all it is. Look at his CV. Really? Go and ask any working class white person in London what the fuck it's like living in London now. And the worst thing is, we've been displaced in our own country, and our country is England. We have been displaced in our own country. And now we're watching it happen again. Because the hard part was taking the cities and getting the millions and millions and millions into London and the rest of the country. The easy piece is to move them out and start pushing them into these areas. Devon, in the total Devonshire, is 800,000 people. How quickly do you think they could start coming in? And they're already coming in. I spoke to someone the other day down by Torbay, right? They've said they've never seen so many blacks and Asians. It don't look like England. And yet they go, these people Restore Britain, right? They're saying seriously, seriously, seriously wrong. And all they're going to do, that's like turning around and say, it's like saying, oh, well, he's got a degree from Oxford. What? Really? Really? What do you mean that? You mean that university, which is the absolute centre of communism in this country? Not far behind it is Cambridge, right? And probably matching a pair of them is the London School of Economics. Does anyone else have any information on or want to say anything about Henry Bolton? I've started to think that some of these, they're trying to cut off the political. They want the politics side of this cut away. So there's only one option on the table. That can be the only thing. Yeah, but the thing is, if people, as far as I can see, there's no one out there talking to them and saying, what is going on here? Oh dear, and I was hoping my suspicions were wrong about Restore. Listen, I really, 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 really wanted Restore. 80% that they, you know, but when you're doing things like this, I listen. I'm going to say this to everyone listening to this, right? I actually know people that are veterans, far superior to Henry Bolton. What I describe as proper men, right? And by the way, they're English. They absolutely get the English-British bit, right? I'm talking about people, I can't say too much, right? But I'm talking about proper people. Just people that I've got a lot of respect for. That would nail that job like that. That could put teams together like that, right? someone that the public would have the utmost respect for, right? Some of them people are being prosecuted by the British for operations that were commanded by the British. In other words, the British told them to do X, Y, Z. They went and done X, Y, Z. They're now being prosecuted. If anyone's going to be anti-establishment, it's going to be them guys. If I know them, why don't Restore Britain know them? It just don't make any sense to me. Now, I didn't want to get on here and start ranting. I'm just... Are they honestly telling me that they couldn't find an Englishman? Right? Because Henry Bolton's not an Englishman. He comes from Kenya. He's British. Well, the worst possible thing that I've seen also is the way that he was telling people, he was dismayed completely dismayed that people who have had 2 jabs wouldn't have the boosters. And he was telling people to have the jabs in the first place. I have got words to describe him, but I won't use them. I'm trying to keep my bad language to an absolute minimum. And then I'm seeing people being conned again, which is what I've kept saying to people. We're just being conned, completely being conned. The only real way of solving this problem is to take out the Union, go back to being England. Northern Ireland should be completely independent. I absolutely believe that the Northern Irish are more English than the English, and we need to make sure that they're 100%. They would be very similar to the Isle of Man, right? But Southern Ireland is no longer a common law jurisdiction. It is a Roman law jurisdiction. It's fully adopted the EU. And Scotland's always been a Roman law jurisdiction. So England is under attack. Our common law is under attack. Every part of it is under attack, right? Henry Bolton hasn't even mentioned the fact that the chief constables were the ones who conspired against the people to have our guns taken away from us. Henry Bolton's not even this guy with all these credentials, military intelligence, and yet he knows he ain't presented any of that. He just wants to carry on with a different badge on it. I'm going to say it again, 1,965 people killed in England and Wales. Vast majority were white people by the police in police custody since 1990. Just think about that. And the same or comparable figures, 180 deaths via terrorism since 1990. Who's the bigger threat to the English and Welsh? Terrorists, right? Think about what all the ag you go through in airports and going in and out of courts and all sorts of stuff. The people you should fear the most on the streets of London or anywhere else in England and Wales are the police, right? Since 1990, 1,965 deaths in police custody. Since 1990, there's been 180 deaths via terrorism in England and Wales. You tell me where the threat is to the subjects of the realm of England. And those police officers describe themselves as British police, right? Again, not to mention what the British government have done to us with COVID, what the British government done in Lynmouth when they cloud seeded and hid it that they'd murdered 35 of us in Devon, just down the road from me. Hid it. My dad was there with my mum, carrying my sister. 35 people murdered by the British state. No investigations. No people prosecuted. It's disgusting. Let me have a quick look. We have to explore every avenue. They will not. Same in the army. What's that one? They are British Army, not the English. Well, again, if you look what the British have done to English regiments, they've destroyed every English regiment. They've destroyed the English Royal Navy. They've destroyed the army. They've destroyed everything. They've basically disarmed us. They've took all of our heavy industries away, so we can't even manufacture our own weapons. Instead, we do manufacture weapons in here. We're supplied with the bits, and we put them together for Israel and for the Germans. Heck and kosh, we put their guns together, and then we send them out to Israel to be used against Palestinians. Are the police English? If most of that even terrible blood, they should be of your own. No, most of that. And again, they come out with some nonsense. You've got to be British to be in the police. Anyone can be British after the British Nationality Act 1948. It's all bullshit. The whole thing is bullshit. People need to understand England is under attack. They seek to destroy England with regionalisation, otherwise known as being devolved. The communist police have doubled to stop the uprising of the English. Yeah, and it'll be the EU military brought in here. That's exactly what they want. No foreigner is not recognised. So anyone who is a member of Restore Britain should make their views pretty clear what they think of the executive's decision to appoint Henry Bolton. I've got to be honest with you. I'll tell you now, there's people watching this now, right? And there's people in the military that I know that are watching this now that have far better credentials, that would have been there and would know exactly what they're doing, that were heavily involved in insurgency and counterinsurgency. They know how to infiltrate the police, what to look for, how to do it, how to stop it, and how to put it right. Any other questions? Well, what was the terrible use of the English language? It's coming up. I don't want to be I don't want this to be a real big downer, people, but I'm just giving you, listen, I'm not here to tell you lies. I'm here to give you it's my own opinion. I am gobsmacked that they have gone for someone. I'll tell you what, Nigel Farage is sitting there laughing his bollocks off. So Paul Muck 69 Let me see if I can pin that. Look how many security guards are foreign, barely speak English and don't know the law. They try to police the English. It's disgusting. Yeah, it is. And what you don't realise is the chief constable can sign them off for weapons, for firearms. Just to make sure you understand that. The people who've been disarmed are us. Let me have a look. Any other questions? See if you can put a question up there and I'll throw it on there. That one come from... Let's see if I can find a question. Anyone got a question? I tell the BBC watchers it's all deliberate. Let me have a look at that one. It's all coming up too quick. Stanley Johnson's, you know. Let's have a look. Let's take that one off. Any other questions? What training can we get? Surely between all of us, DD, we can get up Dad's army level behind closed doors. The problem you've got, right? What we're living in now is worse than the USSR, right? Worse than the USSR. Because the amount of surveillance on us, everything's monitored. Everything's monitored, right? I've already had old Bill, when I was back there, stuck into me. Using infiltrators. And I'm telling you now, from what I've seen so far, Restore Britain are gullible enough. In fact, I would say already their inner circle has been infiltrated. Without any doubts whatsoever. Don't forget what I said to you. I'll show it to you again. The so-called left, the communists, even fascists, the communists keep the far right out of Newham, oppose Restore Britain, Tuesday 7th of July, 10:30am, Dockside, Newham, Council Office, E16 2QU, and there are groups of people driving around certain parts of London asking where certain people live and trying to hunt down where they live, right? And the police have already stated to some of them people that there is a credible threat to their lives. And some of them people are now looking at getting out of London, right? Just to let you know, doing what I do, you're massively at risk. When I lived in that other flat, I had my wheel nuts taken off, and just so I drove off and the wheels fall off, right, and loosened up. I had my windows smashed on my car. Loads of things. When I stood in Tooting for the English Democrats, I had 4 Mohammedans, 2 of them not far from where Sadiq Khan actually lived, pulled out machetes and told me to fuck off. In Tooting. Bearing in mind I was born less than a mile away, or roughly a mile away. Right? And all Restore Britain are doing is looking for their credentialism. Show us a degree from Oxford. Bearing in mind that 79% of the prime ministers from this country since the Second World War, right, since this really ramped up, have all come from Oxford. And you can't tell me that's not by design. Sadiq Khan looks like he's got AIDS lately. Probably jabbed up. What do you think of the article in The Guardian telling white people should not have children? I thought that article was in The Telegraph, but it was in The Guardian. I've seen it briefly. Listen, what is particularly white English people are under attack, right? And all I'm seeing are these Brits wanting to save their fucking box of union. The thing that actually did it to us. Let me have a look. Any other questions before I leave? One more for Lord Chief Justice. Let me tell you something. If I was a Lord Chief Justice here, you would see some serious... I would try these cases of treason. I would section them out into groups and put them all before single juries, right? Those groups of people, and go, right, bang, treason, take them out and hang on, and then draw and quarter them in front of everyone. Treason is the most serious, heinous crime. And again, people keep talking about King Charles. I said it last night. I'll say it again. He's abdicated, right? He has already abdicated. He's perjured his oath. I wish I could bring it up on the screen here. Let's see if I can give you a link to this. Let me see where it would be. Oaths. Let's see if I can bring up the oath system. Let me have a look. A common law Brexit handbook, abolishing. Let's have a look. Let's see if I can find the oaths. I'm not sure if I can actually bring it up. I won't be able to bring it up properly, I don't think. Let's have a look. No, but I will go through that tomorrow night. Because I think it's important that people understand the reasoning. Why it is that the oath system is so important. And why you cannot have... but you must go back to being non-secular. And you must have people literally in this country that are back in England. Let's see if I can find it. And at the moment, I can't find it. Oath. Let's have a look and see if I can find it. I had it somewhere. Someone give me a link to it. Have I got it on one of my websites? No, it's not in there. Let's have a look and see if I can find it. Oh, it's another one I'll have to try and find for you. It's very interesting and it's very detailed. It's all about the oath system. Let's go and have a quick look. Let's have a look. I'm looking. Not sure if that's the one. There it is. but I can't bring it up on the screen. But basically, it's the oaths and vows that bind our society together. David J. Webb, and it goes through the history of the oath system, and then it tells you about why it's still law. And I've basically used that. I've got to go through that again tonight. I'll read through it, and then I'll do a show on it tomorrow night, which ties in to a law above the law, and it ties into that whole oath system and who and what we are. And then I'll tie it into the Coronation Oath Act and why it's so serious. And by the way, one of the lines from this: a society with no sense of honour and duty is not going to be a free society. Let me go back to that. I will come back to that in a minute. Right, that's it. I'm gonna. If you ride a motorbike extra aware, cars pulling out on you, 5 occasions from 2 journeys, new arrival, looking drivers, pulling out, smirk grins. Listen, driving standards in this country have gone downhill completely. Right, that is it. Don't forget, the Constitution is the solution. To restore the English Constitution, you need to restore England. And I can't see that happening with these people. They're not serious about it. And especially having anything to do with Henry Bolton. There's plenty of good people out there. You didn't need to go anywhere near him. That's it. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to share. Because I think people should see what's going on here. And then if you want me to go through some of their stuff for tomorrow, I'll go through it. DD, you said you wanted. Let me have a look. Come here. You said you wanted to start the ACP in Devon. Why don't you do a number of seminars in the test the ground? I am going to be trying to do that in Devon. I think Restore Britain is especially in Devon, is a waste of space. They are not interested in the English Constitution whatsoever, or restoring the Constitution, or restoring England. I thought they started to have a plan. They're not serious people in my view. Getting up and giving the odd good speech is one thing, but these people getting involved with people like that, and they are only interested in credentialism. They're basically middle class, degree illiterate people. That's what I think. That's it. Anyway, I'm going to say good night, God bless. And don't forget what I believe in. The Constitution is the solution.